Y'all pick that up? Not really. Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Robert Hatfield to the Holiday Forum. Check 1, check 2. Yes, sir. Mr. Reggie, we have you right over here. Change up signs on you.
Send this to my mom. Fun visit over there. Dude, it was awesome, man. It's like a step back in time. It's like nuts, dude. I can't believe it. We're up on the set. I was like, wow, look at this. I had spent a lot of time here in this area. A lot of time. Slept there. When you think about it, you're like, I spent more time there than anywhere. Absolutely.
Robert, these mics are working. Are these up?
Okay. Gotcha.
Panel mic check 1 2. Panel mic check 1 2.
Good. The rest of the guests are walking over right now. Got you a snack? Look, those scones were really good. Those little scones, real good.
What's that? We joking? We joking? How's it going? You good? He said they were muted originally for the stream, so he said they're working.
Okay, someone just said, that was the mic check.
I mean, I'm sure he can adjust on the fly.
Yeah, I'll text him.
Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. We'll begin start in just a minute.
So sorry.
You good? Let's see. I think I've got you here. Mark here. Pretty cool.
You're going to be so sick and tired of me today. I'm like, I've seen her. It's like our third session together.
Well, and that's one of the things I'll kind of open up with y'all is just the interactions today. You know, how nice has it been to work with our students? Come on in, sir. It's going to be fun. Rachel, we've got you right over here.
Where'd you go? You left me.
We had a good thing going.
I know, right? People were already talking and stuff like that.
Dynamic duo.
People were super interested. We stole him. Oh my God, we just
Oh, yes.
Look, Ryan was trying to juggle with these things earlier.
Love the
Kim, whenever you're ready.
going on here.
No, our initiative to not use plastic bottles.
Oh,
Forward, or like donate.
Good afternoon, everyone.
It is really exciting to see all of you here today as we continue the Manship School of Mass Communication Sports Summit. I love this. Selfie taken over here. That's fantastic. We've had so many exciting panels and events going on throughout the day, and I'm really, I hope you've had the chance to drop in on some of them throughout the day. This event has come about because we realized that whether you're in, yes, we do need to close that door. I just noticed that. We realize that whether you're interested in working in the sports industry, as our panelists here do today, or if you're interested in the way the discipline of sport communication has played an incredible role in shaping the landscape of research in mass communication, these are critical conversations to be having, and we want to be the leader in that dialogue. I always forget to introduce myself. By the way, my name is Dr. Kim Bissell. I'm the Dean of the Manship School of Mass Communication. I should have said that. Should have led with that. But I don't want to take away any time from our incredible panelists. I'm going to turn it over to our moderator in just a minute. But I do want to encourage you to stay to the end because we've got some pretty exciting news to share with you. But you have to hang with us till the end for that to happen. I'm going to turn it over now to Chad Sabady, our incredible professional in residence in sports broadcasting, who deserves so much of the credit for pulling this together today. Thank you, Chad.
Thank you, Kim. Look, if y'all were with us this morning, it was a lot of fun. This day has been exciting, memorable, and impactful. And we want to echo what Dean Bissell just said is thank you for being here. You know, we're humbled to bring this great networking opportunity, this great showcase of our Manship School alums and visiting scholars and combine it into a 24-hour blur. It's been a day, y'all. Look, I won't speak too long. I want our incredible guests to get involved, and I want to open it up with just some of their thoughts throughout this day. Y'all have been busy. Y'all have been on panel discussions, class visits, lunches, meeting with student media, the Reveille, Tiger TV. What's been some of the most fun that y'all have had today? Whoever wants to get started.
I really enjoyed the catfish for lunch. That was
And look, before I forget, let me do the official introductions. To my right, CBS Sports Director, Mr. Mark Grant. Woo! To his right, covering the Colorado Rockies, Kelsey Winger-Lynch. Straight from Atlanta, we hope the Braves get it done tonight, Mr. Reggie Chapman, 11 Alive News, Atlanta sports anchor. To my left, from Minnesota, covering the Minnesota Vikings, Tatum Everett. Great. And also from Colorado, working with the Colorado Avalanche as their in-game producer and host, Rachel Toss. So, Mark, you were enjoying the catfish today.
Yeah, the catfish was good, but what I really enjoyed about today was the fact that we have so many people who are professionals who've been a part of this. I come here a lot and speak. I come here and speak to students a lot, and they're only hearing my perspective on how I got to into the business and how I do it. But to hear the perspective of all of my colleagues up here and the other ones who are here, I think it really makes it much more enlightening for the students. And so for that reason, I just think it's really a tremendous opportunity.
It's been so cool. Like, I mean, we just went up to the Tiger TV studio and I almost cried. You guys are in such a sweet season of life, man, and I hope that you're like embracing it and being present in it. It's so surreal being back here. And we've also appreciated how involved. I mean, I'm looking across the room to multiple of you right now who I've been able to talk to and take time, 10, 15 minutes to get to know you guys a little bit. Y'all have been so interactive with us and asked such great questions. It's been so refreshing. This is such a special place, and Manship is such a special school, and we're all so proud to have gone here. And I hope that you guys are too, and I just hope you're being present in everything that you're getting to do right now, because I think any of us would do anything to be able to sit in the student section for one more game, or just to be a student again for one day. It goes by so fast, and I think it's been so surreal for all of us to be invited back here. We're all such proud alumni of this university. So it's been very surreal to have the opportunity to come back and pour into you guys a little bit.
My heart is just so full. I'm just so encouraged as to like what this looks like. You know, I obviously had the time of my life here at LSU and being part of Tiger TV and the Manship School, and it's so cool to see that it's grown and gotten bigger and better, and you guys are all into it and you guys want to be a part of it. You guys want to learn. And I mean, the fact that you're here says a lot. And I also, like, just from a diversity standpoint, that's been really encouraged with that as well. That's something that's important to me as a black man, just to be able to see other people that look like me as well throughout this program. So, I mean, I'm really, really happy with what I've seen. I'm very happy for you guys all. And just, I mean, like I said, I'm excited to help in any kind of way if you guys need help at all.
Yeah, gosh, I got to echo what Reggie said. This experience has been so surreal for me. I haven't been back on campus in an entirely way too long time. But I also have to thank you guys too for being so open and sharing with us, because as much advice as we've been giving you guys today, or answering your questions or offering, you know, our insights, I have learned so much from my fellow panelists and the people that have been involved in this summit, and even you guys. Like, I kind of want to go back and I'm like, man, I gotta elevate my game in like this part of my career. I gotta work on this, because like that's what I talked to one student about, and that's what I should be doing, right? I kind of feel like this has given me the energy, like a nice little break, because you know sometimes when you're in the professional world, you get a little tired sometimes, right? But right now I feel really invigorated by you guys, so it's been really nice.
Yeah, this has been so surreal. I wish I could go back in time and just tell baby Rach that like everything's gonna be okay and one day you'll be on a panel. College was hard for me. I just was a stress ball the whole time. I tried to enjoy it, and that was very difficult for me at times. So, you know, for what it's worth, I wish I could have enjoyed the moments a little bit more. So maybe take that into consideration. And I wish I had a little bit more faith in my work ethic, and that it was going to get me in the proper place. So if you put in the work, I think you can go very far. And knowing that you're graduating from a place like Louisiana State University in the Manship School, you'd be shocked how many people across the country that you'll impress by saying you graduated from here. I've worked in 3 different states now, and even in Denver, Colorado, the amount of people that I meet that I say, oh, you know, I graduated from LSU, and they're like, oh my gosh, no way. And they just have so many questions for you. And it's a very small world at the end of the day. Like, oh, do you know so-and-so? And I know so-and-so. And those connections matter. I'm sure you've heard it a million times, especially today, that those connections are how you advance in your career, of course. And so just even coming to school here is such a great deal, and you guys should be so proud of all the work that you're putting in and even getting accepted in the first place. So congratulations to you, and thank you so much for being so involved and interested and even having us here. We're happy to help you guys. We're all experts in communications. We want to communicate with you that we are here to help. I would have loved to have had someone like that when I was in your position to come to these panels, which I'm sure we had at some point, but to just be able to make that relationship with someone, ask them questions, use us. We're here and we want to help you so badly.
Thank you all so much, and it's been great to see. Awesome to see all of the networking and interaction, the questions, and just the sharing of ideas and conversation and content across very diverse backgrounds, which is awesome here at the LSU Manship School. All of our great guests and the panelists are at different stages of their very impressive individual careers, but collectively they represent all of us, the LSU Manship School. So take pride in the people in front of you here today. Open-ended question to the panel, y'all. Now that we're in 2023, this morning we talked about the changes, the evolution of media, social media, trends. What excites you about where we are in the industry today in terms of sports media, in terms of reach, engagement, and also what are some of the challenges out there, some of the missteps that you've seen from personal experience or from other colleagues and peer groups, and you know, some advice for our students here in the room to navigate as they begin their professional careers. If anybody would like to start going either direction with that.
I feel like I answered this on the first panel, so I was going to let anybody else.
No,
I feel
anybody
like I
wants to
answered
jump
that
in.
I can
exact
jump
question.
in.
Go ahead, Rachel.
As someone that's not a huge fan of social media, I've had to kind of bite the bullet, take one for the team in a sense to better myself. At the end of the day, no one within the Colorado Avalanche organization is asking me to post on social media, but from a brand perspective, I'm sure you discuss this in your classes, what is your brand as an individual, and you have to grow it. And if you're not active on all of these platforms, or at least showing that you are capable of being active on these platforms, it will hurt you in the long run. But I know for me, it is an internal struggle because I've watched the Social Dilemma on Netflix, the Netflix documentary about social media. Anyway, so it can be very daunting, like, oh, I don't want to be addicted to social media. There just has to be that fine balance of it is part of your job, right? Like, you have to be creative, and just thinking of it as being a creative outlet more than anything. And if you're like me, where social media maybe bugs you a bit, set those timers on your phone and pay attention to them. Don't just hit dismiss. But I think what's exciting about this is that people are more accessible than ever, right? You can reach out to any one of us via an Instagram DM, right? You can reach so many different people and make those connections where it used to be very difficult to find ways to connect with people like that. I've used that even in my current role. If I have a specific question for a player, the proper way to do it is to go through PR. But if I need a quick question, or if I do a lot of feature stories that involve family members as well, I can find the player's family member, the wife, whoever it might be, send them a message to get the answer of whatever it is I'm looking for a little bit quicker. And you get to know more about people that way too, right? When you're following athletes and their families on social media, you get a little glimpse into their life and what they're like off the ice, which I think is really neat. But at the end of the day, it's just adding for me what feels like a tremendous amount of extra work, but it's that feeling of you're never done, right? Once you've done your actual job duties, then you should be posting on Instagram and you should be tweeting about it too. And then now you got to learn how to TikTok, and I still haven't even posted a thread yet. So I'll let you know once I figure that. Yeah, it's tough to keep up with. I also would say maybe don't stress over it a little too much. Just try to focus on like what your main role is at the end of the day.
Yeah. Just be your genuine, authentic self about that. I mean, you guys grew up a little bit differently, I think, than especially like us three in the middle here, where like we didn't have social media in college, and so we weren't really doing that stuff. I think we had Facebook. I think that was it. So like we didn't have that kind of stuff when we did it, right? I know, sorry, and so yeah, just that's. But I think that, to answer your question though, originally, Chad, I think like the thing that excites me the most though is, as daunting as it is to post on social media, because I am with Rachel 100% on that one, the possibilities for you guys to pursue a career in sports journalism, I feel like the opportunities have like tripled in the ability. Like teams didn't have in-house media. Like my job didn't exist when I graduated college. So I think that there's just so many different avenues and ways to talk about sports, cover sports, tell the stories, and be involved in sports than just like the traditional, I work for a newspaper, television station, then that's it, right? So like I think that there's just so many more opportunities for you guys to pursue your passions and what you want to do in sports than just traditional forms of media, which I think that's the beauty of social media, and the beauty of the internet age that we're in, and all that stuff.
It's a great point.
Good deal.
If I had known that the television was going to become the second screen to watch sports, I wouldn't have bought a 70-inch TV, at my house. But truly, it is a different time in sports television, sports viewing, and it only benefits you guys. I mean, there's, we can go back to the Wayback Machine, and when I was in school in the late 70s and early 80s, and what sports journalism looked like. But it is totally different now, and you guys are on the cutting edge of what it's going to be, and I'm sure that even in the future it's going to be even different than it is now. But it's a tremendous opportunity, especially for someone who's in broadcasting. When I first started, there was ABC, CBS, NBC, and eventually ESPN came along. So there were 4 places where you could work in broadcast television at the highest level. And now there's so many, even within those bodies of those networks and other places, there's so many places you can go with digital media that it's just an incredible time. And I'm on the end of my career, yes, as you said. But I've loved it, and I've loved to see all the changes and the opportunities. And you're in a place that's going to just continue to boom and blossom for many, many years to come. And you guys are going to be on the cutting edge of making TV change and go new places beyond where it is right now.
Good. But if you wanted to.
Well, all I'll say is that it's a really exciting time for you guys because, like Tatum said, I mean, her job didn't exist when she graduated, right? I'm thinking about 5 years from now or whenever you guys graduate, things would be very different. You know what I mean? And I think it's important, especially right now, to be up on these trends and actually give yourself an opportunity to try different things, because who knows what things are going to look like in the future, right? Things are very different than they used to be. So my point is especially while you're in college, and I've been saying this all day, you guys are college kids, right? Take advantage of the fact that you're in college. You've got that umbrella to just try things, because it's very important, because you can try things now, and if it works or it doesn't work, it's not really going to matter in a couple of years, right? But if it works, you can lean into it. You know what I mean? So take advantage of these opportunities. Make sure you guys work hard, and everything will work out.
Across all of our different media platforms, storytelling, right, is the true heart of what we do as journalists, and it's no different in the sports world. Painting that picture, whether it's through one of the best broadcasts you've ever seen, an award-winning television broadcast, or that game-winning final shot in March Madness, or pregame show, in-game segments, your traditional local sportscast. What would y'all advise to the group about finding that content that's impactful, that hits the heart, that really separates your work, in a sense, differently than anybody else, just in terms of providing that unique content that really hits close to home?
I think, especially in sports, we have such unique access that fans don't get. I know an example that I gave earlier. I struggle with Reels and TikTok. Like, it's just not something that I'm great at. But it can be as simple as the point I made earlier is, for me, working in Major League Baseball, I get to go to all these different ballparks. And even if I just started doing something where walking out of the clubhouse onto the field, I'm recording what that perspective is like for a player as he's taking the field for a game. Little things like that at each ballpark would have been so unique for me to do. But did I do that? No. But finding these, as media members, we have such unique access, and we get to experience so many cool things that fans never get to experience. So I think using those unique perspectives that we get, fans really like. And at the end of the day, in my position specifically, like, I'm trying to bring an athlete's personality out. You guys might know who Dansby Swanson is, the shortstop for now the Chicago Cubs, but I want to tell you about Dansby Swanson as a person. I want you guys to, my job is a team partner for the team. So we're always trying to bring out the positives and personify some of these people for the fans, because you guys become more invested when you feel like you know who they are as a person. So I think in my job specifically, and Reggie's, anybody who works covering sports, bringing out the personality of players and really showing people these sides of them that they don't get to see, because they only get to see them turning a 6-4-3 double play and that's it. And also taking advantage of these unique perspectives that we do get to see. I have no idea if that answers your question, but
No, it does.
Good.
It does.
It was fantastic.
That relatable content, y'all. When you're watching a broadcast or reading a piece of media, and you can put yourself in that position, that human element that we strive for in storytelling. And Mark, I know, and Reggie as well, but y'all take similar approaches in terms of your production.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important thing for me as a director when you're watching a live game is I want you to watch the game and say, damn, I wish I was there. That looks like a lot of fun. And if I can't capture what's happening in the arena or in the stadium or whatever, to make you wish you were there, either one of two things: it's a boring game and it's a blowout, or I'm not doing my job. And so, really, really want to try to capture that and make. And that's going to be true till the end of time as when you do live sports. Is just making that viewer wish they were at the stadium. So doing things like what you say, taking them into the clubhouse and out of the clubhouse and into the dugout and all that kind of stuff. Those are all really, really cool things that the viewer can't get, anywhere else but from you, anywhere else but from me. And so, I love that part about my job. And when we do it and we do it right, it's a beautiful thing.
I would say that also it is a very similar approach too. I think when you tell sports stories or a sports cast, or you're bringing the viewer in, because they didn't make it to all of the games. And
right.
So when you're on location reporting, that's kind of the approach I always took was what, when I set the stage, I'm showing fan shots, I'm showing the whole story of the game. What was the pivotal moment? That's kind of where it all comes from, because at the end of the day, like, that's why you're watching it, because you weren't there necessarily. And so I think it might be, and maybe I'm simplifying this too much, but at the end of the day, I always thought to myself, like, what would I watch? What would I want to watch? I'm a sports fan. I love watching sports. If I'm just relying on myself to be like, okay, if this story interests me, it's going to interest someone else, right? I want to dive deeper so that I can help the fan who basically was me watching it before I did it on this side of things. But also, just on a quick side note, never take for granted that you also work in sports too, if that opportunity comes. Like being able to take a step back, and like every ballpark or every stadium that I go to, I kind of just like take a moment to myself and like take it all in. I'm on the sidelines of an NFL game. Like this was my dream, you know? So I think taking that, just, I know that's totally a tangent, but having that moment to yourself is really, really cool, because jobs in sports are really unique and really fun. A lot of work. You have to love what you do, but I think knowing that, you know, you don't take those moments for granted is super important.
I truly don't remember what the exact question you even asked was, but I know I wanted to talk about human interest stories and the type of content we're generating. I think that was on at least the right page. Human interest stories are great, right? Before I had my job with the Avalanche, I worked in local news in Jackson, Mississippi as a sports anchor, and I got to cover some really awesome events with SEC, specifically SEC baseball is what kind of rung a bell for me. But after all these games, even in Mississippi, there are still so many local media members that are on the field after the big game, the big win. We're all doing our stand-ups. We're all telling the same story. So how can you make that story different, or how can you at least try to bring a different perspective, right? So on one of the off days, or it was a practice day when I was covering Mississippi State in the College World Series and their run to Omaha, I just got so frustrated with, I just don't want to talk about what practice is happening or who they're playing to throw tomorrow and that kind of stuff. So how can I do something different? Hey, the bus driver, he just drove really far to get here. Let's go find that story. And it ended up being one of my favorite stories I ever did. The bus driver was so flattered. He had this big personality. Evie, I think was his name, if I remember correctly. But he was awesome. And I was able to like put a microphone on him because I was an MMJ. So one-man band there, but following him around on the bus as he described how long he's been driving the team for, what it means for him to get to Omaha. He was talking me through every single seat on that bus, and well, this person sits here, and I know who sits here because he always leaves his sunflower seeds right here, and I don't know, it just was something completely different. Like the team is in Omaha competing in the College World Series, and we all know the top storylines. ESPN's reporting on it. Everyone's reporting on it. We all know they won yesterday and who they're playing tomorrow. What's something a little different that we can get out of this experience that they're in Omaha? And I feel like if we can approach all of our situations like that, then you're creating really unique content that's going to stand out and separate you.
And as our industry continues to change, so do our professionals as well. You know, they take on new skill sets, they take on new responsibilities and have to multitask even more than they did at a younger age. Over the next few years, y'all, as our young students now enter the workforce, what potential changes do you see out there in terms of responsibilities, workload, being asked to do more than traditional jobs, even what we've all done over the last 5, 10, or 20 years?
I think it's going to look a lot like, I think it's going to be very different in the future, but I think all the base things are going to be kind of the same, right? Like you're going to need to be able to write, you're probably going to be able to shoot, you probably need to be able to video edit, and all of that's going to be very important. And if you can do those things, you can really attack anything regardless of what the changes in the future are. Like I think I learned a lot during like COVID where when sports shut down, I was forced to do news coverage and I hated it, but I did it, and it just made me rethink my perspective of exactly what I'm doing, right? Like my skill set is my skill set. I'm a storyteller, and regardless of if I'm talking about sports or if I'm talking about blood drive, like the storytelling is the exact same. So I think, yes, there's going to be some changes in the industry. It's going to be how we consume. It's going to be different, whether it's on our phones or it's going to be vertical video, or streaming is obviously a big deal right now. But I think at the end of the day, if you have like the major skill sets at the beginning, the base level, you'll be able to pivot to anything that kind of changes over the next couple of years.
That's exactly what I was going to feed off of you, is get the foundations down and adapt from there. If you know how to do the foundational tasks that's in the position that you want to be in, it changes every single year. I mean, all of us have gone through so many changes regardless of how long our careers have been, but we had the foundations down and we've been able to adapt. So I think as long as you guys are focusing in on the right things, and like Reggie said, like the biggest things are going to stay intact. Those are your foundations. Master those and then pivot.
Pivot.
Shout out to the Pivot, y'all, and our guest Ryan Clark here today. Look, let's get y'all involved. I know y'all are here. You have questions. You've been interacting with our great guest as well. So if you have a hand, we'll get you a mic here and think about some of the questions that you'd like to share.
Wow.
Love to see the hands.
A mic? Is my mic working? I don't know if my mic's necessarily working.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Jada. I spoke to a few of you guys earlier, but I guess like I'm working on a story right now, and it's really important to me. But like, how do you, when you have a story that's been done before, but you're trying to do it from like a different angle or like have a different background to it, like, how do you take that story and change it from what everybody else has already done and make it your own and make it something that people want to hear about?
Do you have access to like the subject, like the person who the story is about, or is it like an athlete that you don't have?
It's a building.
Oh, so that can't talk.
It's a building?
Building can't talk.
It's the stadium. I'm doing a story on Tiger Stadium and how the way it's built affects the way that sound moves through it, affecting the players. And so like, but like people have done stories on Tiger Stadium. Like it's been done before. Tiger Stadium's nothing new. So like, how do I make the story my own? And like, how do I make it something that people want to hear rather than just Tiger Stadium is loud?
Yeah, like why should they care, right? Yeah.
I think you got to ask yourself those questions. Why do I care about Tiger Stadium? What do I want to know about Tiger Stadium? I think you could even maybe poll your peers on if you could learn something new about Tiger Stadium, what would you want to learn? I remember being in your position when I was in school working on a story on concussions, and that was the hot topic at the time. It's still a hot topic today, of course, but it was just like, it felt like that conversation was really rising at the time that I was working on this project, and I felt the same way of like, my gosh, we've already talked about concussions a million times. What more as a student can I say about it? But that was around the time they were starting to introduce the chips in the helmet. So that was the new angle, the chips in the helmets. And can we get players' perspective on how that's going to affect them every snap, right? Are you going to be thinking about it? Is this something that's in the back of your head? Do you not even care? Are you excited about it? Those are the new questions of, hey, we're making advancements in this. And that was the different angle that I was able to take. It's very different from the stadium angle, but I think just being honest with yourself on what you would want to know more about it. Maybe even finding the person or people who are involved in the upkeep of the building, people who work in there day in and day out. Maybe it's a janitor that you could chat with about the building structure. They're in there all the time, so they may have some valuable information for you. More of like investigative reporting, I guess.
And I would love to hear from the students who used to live inside Tiger Stadium.
Yes, that's a good one.
I mean, it was a different world. It was a different world, a different generation, but to get their firsthand account from back then to what the audio was, the roar of a crowd on a Saturday night in Death Valley, compared to today's technology and all the analytics that go along with it.
Or, I mean, I'm just thinking off the top of my head now because now you got me started, but I'm just thinking about like the science behind like what sound actually does to the human mind and the body once you're in that environment, right? Because obviously, you know, you step out there in front of 102,000 people, it's going to be kind of wild, right? And if it's loud, it's very loud in Tiger Stadium. I'm curious as to like how maybe how sound actually changes in how your mental state is. You know what I mean? Like there's so many options with this. I think that, yeah, you can do it any way that you can.
Yep. One thing I think would be good too is to find out somebody who's had to come here and play, a team that comes in here and play. How do they react to it? What do they do during the week to get ready for the noise in Tiger Stadium? A lot of yeah, I cover the NFL. A lot of teams have, you know, crowd noise at their practice and all that kind of stuff. But I think it'd be very, very interesting to hear from somebody else that's played here as an opponent to talk about with the crowd noise. And also, you can never go wrong with the earthquake game here. Talking about that, I think that will live on forever, kind of like Billy Cannon's run. But I think those are two things you can incorporate into your story that would make it relevant.
Very good. We have a question right here in the front.
Yes. So, was it on? Hello.
Hello.
Okay. Well, anyway, so kind of like what y'all mentioned with the social media, just from like kind of wanting that balance and not really into it as much. Because I know, like, I had deleted social media a couple years ago, but you know, I got it back because I'm in college and I kind of need it. But just like I remember looking at like job positions, and they were saying like you need a good social media following, you know, because that's something that they kind of look at too. But what do y'all say, like what would y'all say are like the main platforms that we should at least be like most engaged on?
Before somebody answers, I want to make sure don't stress about the following. Stress about the content.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's gonna look. I mean, yeah, like having a nice following is good, but when people go to your social media, if you have 900 followers but you're posting really good content, I think that's more important. But
Yeah, especially right out of school too. I think that matters for sure.
Kelsey, I feel like you did a really good job of building up following on Twitter.
Thank you.
when you first started out in college. I used to, and I think it's just you were tweeting, you were being yourself.
Yeah, I think, I mean, that's been for me in multiple aspects of my career. I think something that's benefited me the most is, I don't know, when you're on air, like, I don't want to be anchory. I don't want to be talking at you. I want it to feel like I'm sitting right across from you right now and telling you about the Colorado Rockies. I think, like, sometimes we get all like, okay, I'm anchoring this show, and I think people appreciate when they feel like they know you and you're relatable. I think that helps you develop a following. If they feel like you're one of them, which we all are, you know, I mean, but if you make yourself kind of inaccessible or different, or you have this wall up that's not allowing people to know who you are, like, I don't know, I feel like people, the point that I make to where I was at this last season is our on-air crew does so many cool segments. I don't know if you guys follow baseball, but the Colorado Rockies weren't great this year. Our viewership was very low. And I was encouraging our network, like, man, if somebody does a cool segment, if we do something fun, like, post that on social media, because if somebody doesn't know what we're doing on air, but they see that clip, and then the next week they're scrolling through the channel guide and they see the Colorado Rockies are playing and they remembered that clip and they thought it was fun and they were interested, they might tune into a game that they wouldn't have. So I think being able to showcase your personality tastefully, to Tatum's point, has benefited me, whether it's on social media or whether it's any of my jobs on air, is just being a real person and not feeling like you have to put on this fake anchor facade has, I feel like, helped my career in multiple ways.
Yeah, that's such a good point, though. Like, I mean, I feel like in college I came out talking like this, and it's hardcore, right? But, like, it's more relatable and then conversational as you hear that word over and over and over again. But I do think that it's probably a really good piece of advice to incorporate posting and promoting your work now. Like, if, like, the story you did on the gymnast that we watched, like, that you could promote that, because right now, like, that's how you're building your brand, right? And if it becomes a part of your habit and your routine, it won't be like us who had to learn it later on in the world day of our career, and it's like a nuisance, right? Like, if you make it part of your routine, it becomes a habit. The habit becomes something that you can start really building off of. It's something that I'm working on all the time, because I post like 8 posts a day in my head. I never post them on my phone, right? Like, I'm always like, oh, I'm totally gonna do this, whatever, and I forget. It's a problem, you know. I have to tell myself to do it. So it's just good to start getting into that routine now, for sure.
I think you asked about a specific outlet too, which I think is a very interesting question, because I don't know what the answer to that is now. I think in the next 3 years, there's going to be another new outlet that takes over, right? For a lot of us, Twitter, X, was the big thing, right? Like, you had to live tweet every event, and that was like the big thing. And to get verified on Twitter, at least for me, was like, this is awesome. And now in my opinion, Twitter is just not important at all. I feel like Instagram may be on its way out. So I don't know. But I think if you're already doing the work, cross-posting is probably your best bet. If you've already done a story, format it differently and just get it out on all of them. Do the same things on all of them, and then cross-promote. Like, hey, if I have a follower on Instagram, I'm posting extra content over on my TikTok channel. Go check it out, you know. And kind of like Tatum said, this is inspiring me to post more, so maybe that'll work.
I have like 8 drafts right now.
Even screenshot, like, I'll screenshot a tweet that I tweeted and post it on my Instagram story, like cross promoting, like Rachel said.
Very good. All right, we got some other hands. Let's go to the back of the room, and then we'll come back this way. If you could pass the mic. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I dated a lot of the guys who lived in the Tiger Stadium. So ask them about the smell if you're going to do a story, because it was bad. Anyway, I'm afraid I'm an adjunct here, and it's not working.
Yeah, we hear you.
It was working.
Okay. I've been trying, while you have been talking, I've been writing down how I watch or not watch a football game anymore. I used to spend every second watching the television when LSU played. I don't even watch it anymore in the old way. And I wonder what the mainstream media networks are doing to try to figure out, because let me tell you how I watch a game if I'm at home, and you're going to die laughing. The thing that I have more than anything is I have my phone, I have my ESPN app, I have an apron on with a pocket, so I can walk around the house with the phone in my pocket, and I can hear things. I'm getting alerts, and I'm getting alerts from my classmates and my brother-in-law as to what Malik is doing this week, and that's kind of funny. But it's with me all the time. That's number one. Then I'm texting with classmates all around the country, and we're arguing about the game, but they're doing what I'm doing, which is laundry, the dishes. I'm also grading papers at the same time because I will stop, laundry doesn't need me the whole time. So I go and I grade papers usually during the game if I'm not going to the game because, it's just kind of what I do. And then I stop between the good plays. The TV is on. If it's on the channel that I'm still, because I have dropped pretty much everything except streaming television, and the game has to be on one of my streaming networks. But then as soon as I see, I hear, okay, something happened, I got an alert, I got a beep, I'm in the kitchen, the cat is running around like, what is wrong with you? And it goes like that. But then I look to see what's happening, and I post on X/Twitter/whatever we are, and on Facebook because my classmates are kind of old, and Facebook is for grandparents, and so we're all, we're on Facebook, that kind of thing. But it seems like I'm not paying attention to the networks. I'm paying attention to the alerts. I go and find that, if something happens, and, hey, there's a touchdown, well, I will quickly go, pull out the ESPN out of my pocket and watch the clip that just happened 3 minutes ago, and then go back to grading papers. And I've discovered this is pretty common behavior. And I'm wondering what the major networks are going to do when they realize all of a sudden that the audience is so fragmented, and maybe how y'all are approaching it. So,
good question, Frida. Thank you for the detail.
Right.
Yeah, it's good.
Very nice. Very nice picture into a Saturday afternoon, Saturday
What's the
evening.
cat's name?
What's the cat's name?
But what is the cat's name?
What's the cat's name?
Cat's name is
Hope. A lot of hope in the room. Absolutely. But yes, it's so true. Our consumer experience continues to change. And Mark, if you don't mind starting, sir, from a major network broadcast, perspective, what has changed with y'all's ultimate goal?
Frida, I thought we were friends. You did. Always be okay. All right, good. Look, we're very aware. We're very, very aware. The networks are very aware of how people are consuming, especially live sports on TV right now. And I think I read a stat somewhere that more people are watching on their phones now than they are watching on traditional TV. For me, it doesn't really matter because someone's still got to direct the game. There's still got to be a production of the game and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to still do the production. So I don't really care whether you're watching on a 60-inch TV or 80-inch TV or you're watching on your phone. If you're just watching the highlight of the play on your phone, it doesn't really matter to me. But what streaming, especially a company like ESPN, allows you to do is to watch multiple games at the same time. A channel like the NFL Red Zone, you could just go around to all the different games and see who's hot right now and see that. I think it's a tremendous thing. I think it's great. It's great for it's a great service to viewers. It really, really is. And so we're aware that we're not going to have everybody sitting down watching our game for 3.5 hours on Sunday. They're going to be bouncing around, and our TV, our game may be on their TV, like in your case, in the other room sometimes. But I just think it's a great way to absorb a lot at one time, a lot of content, and that's what we're trying to do. Whether it's for the viewer who's playing fantasy football, or people who are betting on the games or anything like that, you can't just watch one game now and be totally in touch with what your interests are. And so I just think it's great for viewers, and it's going to be around for a long, long time.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else want to weigh in on that real quick?
Doesn't really affect
I think he was the best person to answer.
No, that was fantastic. All right, we got a question here in the front, then right over here. We have 2 mics going around, y'all, if y'all want to pass them around. No, you're good, sir. You can come up.
Right. Yeah, this one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, there's one next.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, oh, oh,
There you go.
now we have 2.
We're getting crazy.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Obviously, we're told here like LinkedIn is a really big platform. If that should be one of the most like social media you use because like connections are obviously everything. Would you say that LinkedIn is actually like as hot as professional as like maybe now? Maybe now, or do you think it's still just posting your content, or do you think it really is as important as they say?
I have never found success using LinkedIn, but that could just be my story. I think people get jobs through so many different outlets and so many different connections, and just because it didn't work for me doesn't mean it could be a huge break and opportunity for you. And that's why I think you should just be active on all platforms. I still update my LinkedIn, and I remember like applying for jobs, I would make connections with people and try to message them, and that just wasn't the successful platform for me. But again, I still think that all platforms should be utilized because it won't hurt you in the end.
Go ahead. I was gonna say, my dad made me use LinkedIn for like a long time because he comes from like, he's in the kind of the tech space, and so he's like, yeah, use your LinkedIn. I never really wanted to use it, but it's important because, like I said, same thing with connections, be able to DM people, but also just like it depends on like who's actually actively looking for your stuff, right? Like everybody's different in how they consume content. Everybody's different in how they try to figure out a little bit more about you, right? And so if you've got a LinkedIn account and maybe it's for lack of a better term, you got like an old head that's like trying to, figure out who you are, like maybe they use LinkedIn. So it is important to use it.
Did you just say old head?
I did.
Only old people use.
No, I'm just saying that's not exactly what I'm saying. But I'm saying like it's somebody that's a little older, like my dad, who just loves LinkedIn. Like if I'm applying for a job and my dad, the first thing he ever does is like he'll be like, yo, check out their LinkedIn, figure out what their deal is, where they go to school, like, and go from there. So that's what I'm saying. It's important. I don't think it should be your number one, but it also shouldn't be your 0. You know what I mean? So definitely use it.
I think it's great when you're looking, especially, and you're trying
Absolutely.
to build your connection network. I mean, it is like Reggie said, it's such a great resource to find out someone's resume and figure out who they are.
Yeah.
I never turn down, like I always connect with everyone on LinkedIn. Even some people are always like, who's this person? I'm like, I don't know who they are. But like, you never know when you have like another connection with them. And I find that like you can find people's emails on there because I do a lot of cold emailing. Figuring out people's email algorithms so I can cold email them. So I use LinkedIn, and actually that's how I found my job that I currently have.
Wow.
I wouldn't say that's it's not like the only thing, right? But I reached out to my current boss on LinkedIn, explaining my situation of wanting to move to Minneapolis, and he responded, and we emailed back and forth and just kind of developed a relationship. And so I found success through that. I don't know, kind of weird.
Who exactly do you, when it comes to trying to apply for jobs and internships, things like that, who exactly is it that you want to find? Is it director of communications? Is it director of?
Well, it just depends on like the job, obviously, and I do think that a lot of research on your behalf of knowing like a department and understanding like how it is and what the position is, knowing like, okay, well, if it's a social media manager, let me go on to the website, the team's website, and see who's the director of social media. Mm-hmm. So then it would be like, okay, I found that person. And then I always say in my emails, like, if it's not you to contact for this, please, if you don't mind, if there's anyone else that you think you could direct me towards so that I'm not wasting your time, kind of thing. Worded way better.
Let me add a few quick thoughts as well. There are so many great resources here at Manship and on this campus that a lot of students underutilize. The Olin Career Center, shout out to Miss Adler and all the great crew over there, our fantastic counselors and advisors here at LSU Manship, the people in front of you, your peer group, the people alongside of you as well. Like, help each other along the way. There's a concerted effort among Manship alums to help the next generation. So whether it's LinkedIn or just traditional social media platforms and networking, utilize those connections and resources, and you'll be in a good spot. You really will be along the way. All right, let's take a few more questions, y'all. Let's see. Yes, sir, and then we'll go right behind you.
Before I get into my question, I just want to say how surreal this sports summit has been for me and everybody. This is why I chose LSU. This is the reason I'm here. It's just amazing to see everybody that we've seen today, and I thank each and every one of you for coming up. But we've had a lot of questions so far about sports reporting and social media and branding. I am an aspiring sports broadcaster. I want to be in the booth one day. That's my ultimate goal. So this is more of a question for Miss Everett and Mr. Grant, of course, but if anybody else wants to pan in, it's more of a general thought. How do you set apart the Paul Allens of the world, the radio announcer for the Vikings, the Kevin Harlans, the Jim Nances? How do people stand out in a business that's so competitive and so, driven to kind of the success that you've had in your career?
You're already a great communicator.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great job.
Good
Great
voice.
job. One, you got that.
Yeah.
You go-
It's hard. I was talking to somebody earlier today. You see Jim Nance and you think, okay, I want to be just like Jim Nance, so I'm going to try to sound like Jim Nance. I'm going to try to sound like Kevin Harlan, and all you're doing is doing yourself a disservice. They made it on their own. They're not trying to copy anybody, and I think that the most important thing is to be true to yourself and be real, and not be someone that say, oh, that he acts like Jim Nance. You don't want to do that. The road to get to where Jim Nance is, where Kevin Harlan is, where play-by-play people or announcers at schools or at teams, and so is a very, very, very long road. It just doesn't happen overnight. And so what you have to do is you have to find some place to polish your craft along the way, right? You may have to call high school football games. You may have to be the PA announcer at the high school football game. You may have to do it, but I think they would all tell you that they made it because they worked hard. They kept working hard and kept trying to get better. I did the Final Four with Jim Nance this year. It was his last Final Four, and I'll never forget that when the game was over, we had a big party for him and stuff like that. And he came up to me and he said, "What could I have done better?" Okay, that was his last basketball game ever, and he still wants to know what he could have done better. And so I think you have to always want to improve and take it to the next level, and you just got to keep working and working and working. And not everybody's going to think you're the greatest. They aren't. There's going to be people who shut the door in your face. But you can't give up, and you have to kind of just continue to believe in yourself even when nobody else will. And when that break finally happens, that break you've been waiting for, you got to take it and run with it, and you got to keep doing what you do until the next break comes along. One break is not going to get you to CBS Sports. It's not, but many breaks will, or to wherever wherever it's going to be. And you just have to really, really, really practice your craft and be great at it, and do something that's going to make you stand out. Because you know how many people want to be Jim Nance, or Kevin Harlan. I've worked with Kevin Harlan. There's nobody like Kevin Harlan. There's nobody, But you can be the next person like a Kevin Harlan, like another play-by-play person, that you have your own style that makes people enjoy watching. One of the things I love about working with Kevin Harlan, and I'll stop talking, is I love when he has to go off cue. Like when somebody runs on the field, they're naked or something like that. It's kind of fun to hear him call that. Obviously, we don't show it, but for him to say, there's an idiot on the field, and he calls the play and all that kind of. It's kind of great to hear him say that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, that was perfect.
Good question.
Thank you for that question. I took notes on that as well, so thank you.
I think, though, that probably also speaks as well to anyone that wants to be on camera, not just play-by-play, because you don't say, like, I like watching her because she's just like
her.
Yeah, like it's you watch because, like Kelsey said earlier, you're yourself, you're authentic, and that's you. They bring you in, you feel like they're your friend. So that's always like I always try and like look at the camera and talk to the camera like I'm talking to my friend. That's kind of like my mindset going into those things. So I think at the end of the day, your style is your own, and that's what you need to really hone in on. Don't try to be anyone else but yourself. And it's harder than you think. At least it was for me, because I know that I tried to be. I thought I was being myself for my first few years, but I really wasn't until one day it'll just click. One day it just clicked.
Yeah, can I say one other thing too? It's not just true being on the air. If you want to be a writer, don't try to copy somebody else's writing style. Don't do that. Wherever it is, whatever you do, in any field, any area you go into, just be yourself. I have people that are directors who are great directors that I respect. When I finished doing the the championship game on Monday night, the first person I called was the guy whose place I took because he retired. Okay, so I called Bob on the phone after the game. I said, "How did I do?" And he said, well, I wouldn't have done this, I wouldn't have done that, and I wouldn't have done that, and all that kind of stuff. I said, it's great, but I did it my way, you know? And they asked me back to come back next year, so I guess I did it okay. I didn't do it his way, but I did it my way, and it was okay. Yeah,
Do it your way, but you can, like, something, I know we're talking a lot about Kevin Harlan, but like something he does so well is his emotion. I mean, he just had a call last week that went semi-viral on social media because his excitement. You see that a lot in the regional sports networks because we're so tied to the team that we're covering. But like you can, I mean, I was talking to somebody earlier today who wanted to be a sideline reporter. Whatever you want to do, I told that girl, when you're watching a game and that sideline reporter comes on, you drop what you're doing and you pay attention to how she's asking the questions, what she's asking, and you pick and choose. Like, oh, I really liked how she asked about this, or I really liked, or I didn't like that, you know, and you can learn from other people, but you never want to impersonate or copy other people. But you can definitely learn. So when somebody's on TV that's doing what you want to do, you stop and you pay attention to the details. Because it'll only make you more aware of how you would handle those situations. Or I think that's, Kevin Harlan's a great example, but his emotion's incredible.
To echo on that a little bit, when trying to figure out who you are as a broadcaster and what it is that you're trying to portray as your image, you'll often get stuck in the mindless scrolling of reels. If you want to be a broadcaster, or maybe it's just reading a ton of articles, you're going to find your favorites very quickly, or maybe it's someone you've been watching since you were a little kid. Figure out what it is about them that you like. Is it their voice? Is it their posture? Is it the way they use their hands when they talk? Is it their storytelling? What is it about their storytelling? Is it because they make it feel like you're at the game with them? Try to figure out what it is you like about them and incorporate that into your own broadcasting to give your own spin on it, right? And that's how you can come up with the equation, I guess, that works best for you.
Very good. Thank you all very much. We have time for a few more questions. I know right here, sir.
Hello. My name is David Bartholomew. I'm just curious. So let's say you guys are like 18, 19 again, college students. With the surge of like social media, TikTok, and kind of like sports personalities becoming more entertainment based, like we've seen that with Pat McAfee and his ESPN deal, kind of like sports kind of switching to a more fun side. What would you guys do to stand out as college students right now?
Do you guys know who Kevin Weeks is? Covers the NHL. Yeah, of course. My guy with the hockey shirt knows who Kevin Weeks is. All right. Well, anyway, look him up. Weeksies, Weekes, I believe is his last name. But he played in the league. He was a goalie. He's one of the few black players in the National Hockey League. But he's a sports commentator now. And he does a phenomenal job at bringing a lot of humor to the breaking news. So he breaks a lot of news in the NHL, and he always does it in the most obscure places. He'll do it from a bathroom stall. He'll go in a closet. He'll do it like underneath his sheets at home, which this are probably all horrible examples, but I'm just saying he's like really funny about it and just is very lighthearted and has a lot of fun with it. And I think maybe if a 20-year-old did that, it would be seen as unprofessional. So what I'm saying is just think outside the box with these kinds of things, right? Like, how can you be different, set yourself apart? And I just think because he's Kevin Weeks, he can get away with it, but it's hilarious. I love seeing every time he breaks news because of that.
I wouldn't take yourself too seriously. Yeah. I know it, again, also really, really easier to said than done, especially for me. I take myself very seriously. So, God, my jokes aren't landing today.
If you had the capability, y'all, back then, social media powers.
Post your work.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're, what year are you? You're a sophomore. When you start applying for jobs, these people are going to go onto your social media pages. And like I said earlier, I don't think it's the following that matters, but if they can go, it's free marketing. Like, you're making your stuff accessible to anyone, and you never know who could see that. So like, I would go back and I would be posting my stuff on TikTok. I would be, if I interview, if I do a 4-minute sit down interview, I'd find the best 45 seconds of it and make a little TikTok reel, which is something that I tried to start doing with my interviews, just knowing that the regional sports network industry is in a weird spot right now. And I started trying to crop my interviews down and post it on Instagram because the head of talent at Fox Sports is following me, and maybe he'll see it. But utilizing your social media as a free form of marketing for yourself and getting yourself out there, because you never know who's going to go across it, and really be impressed with with your work or fall in love with your personality.
While we're still talking about social media, one thing real quick that we haven't brought up today, and I would hope that all of you here are here because you're passionate about your future careers and you want to be better. Never underestimate the power of social media in the sense of if you have maybe posted things on your account that you wouldn't want a future employer to see, think about that, right? It's an accurate representation of who you are and who you're going to be as an employee to that person. So never think like, oh, they're not going to care. I was a college kid. They won't care to see that risque post. They do. And they do look. And it does change people's minds. So just something to keep in mind.
Let's take one more question from the group, y'all, and then we'll get our closing thoughts from our panelists. Let's see. In the back?
One back here.
Over here? Let's go right over here. Sorry.
You stand. Sorry. Thank you.
You got to do it all.
Get comfortable being on camera for sure, because you'll have to do both.
I was just going to say, get out of your comfort zone, right? And look, a lot of our great colleagues in the business, and Catherine Terrell's one of them, who grew up in the traditional print format, wrote for the Reveille, wrote for the Times Pick, beautiful writer. She's now an on-air ESPN reporter, having to evolve with her career because of that, because of the need for video, for aesthetics, and taking viewers inside, not just with the written word anymore. So being able to adapt, being able to utilize that, and embracing it, embracing the change along the way. We all have the greatest invention in the world in our hand, right? We're all reporters in the room, and we can be creative with it, and we can collaborate with other professionals and really have fun with it as well. But be authentic, team up, produce quality, unique work. But what else do y'all think about that?
I think every writer is on camera right now.
Yeah.
All of my friends who are writers in MLB are all having to get on camera right now. So you got to be comfortable doing that. And the more you can do, the more beneficial that you're going to be to your employer, and the more opportunities that are going to be open to you. But what was the base of your question? What am I? Yeah, you just need to start doing game recaps. Start paying attention. Find writers who are also doing, like, I mean, in my head, I'm thinking of my friend Kelsey Conway, who is a print journalist covering the Cincinnati Bengals, who's doing a ton of on-video stuff, or my friend Danielle Allentuck, who's writing, covering the Orioles, who's having to do a ton of video stuff. Start finding writers who are also diving in, that are having to do that as job requirements, and start following them and see what their what kind of videos they're creating. And then I would challenge you to do that in college. I would challenge you, when you write a story, even if it's not a part of the assignment, whatever, do a game recap, do a video, do something, because you're going to have to do that. That's what they're doing now. So creating those opportunities for yourself to do it, even if it's not going anywhere. Like if you write for the Reveille and they're not using that video format, just keep doing it and get those reps. So whenever you're applying for jobs, when you attach a story that you did, or I don't know how it works for print, but if you attach a story you did, you can also send the video along with it, because that might be a part of the job requirement, and you already have that stuff to send now.
People just consume media so differently these days. Even podcasters, radio hosts, it's all streamed live, right? I know at least for Altitude Sports Radio in Denver, they do it live. I think it's on YouTube, maybe even Twitter and the Facebook. It's just all streamed live. Some people really like to have it up to where it's like a video they can watch on their phone. Some people are just listening in their car. But even these, old school radio guys who have been used to being the off the camera kind of personality are now on the camera. So just being able to do it all is great. And I think Kelsey gave great advice of just starting now, because you'll have to do it.
I would say this too, that if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to post stuff online and all that stuff, you have to become a director.
There you go.
Good place.
Good advice.
Love it.
Thank y'all for the questions, for the interaction today, for your presence. I'd like to offer our panelists a final closing thought. Reggie, if you'd like to kind of kick us off, or as we bring it on home.
All right, hello everybody. Before I say goodbye, I do want to give a shout out to my mom and my sister, who are both watching on the live stream. I shouted out my dad earlier. They're blowing up the group chat. So I want to make sure they get some love too. Love you, mama. All right. I want to make sure. I think for me, a lesson that I learned over I think the last year. I'm 26 now. I think a big lesson I would have told myself back when I was 18, 19, 20, when I was still here, is that like to just be more, I think, intentional, right? I think intentionality is the word that I have really made as like my creed for this last year, whether it's, with social media, being intentional, like I'm going to post, and I'm gonna be disciplined in posting it, right? I challenged myself to do it for 30 days at one point. It was very, very difficult, but I had a really good time because I was intentional about doing it, right? Be intentional about your schedule, be intentional about your time, be intentional about the steps and actions that you're taking to improve and get better in both your personal life and your career occupationally as well. Intentionality is very, very important. And I think that way you're not just living every day kind of just winging it, you know what I mean? Have an idea about what you're doing, attack it in a way that's intentional, and then keep moving it, you know what I mean? So intentionality I think is very important. I think that's what I'd say.
Thank you, Reggie. Kelsey?
Were you giving closing comments?
Yes, ma'am.
Work. Outwork everybody. Seek out opportunities. Intentionality. You have to find ways to separate yourself in such a competitive industry. And also a point, I believe it was it Tatum who made it earlier? Like, I don't know, take time to like soak in these moments. It's so, you can get so caught up in the stress of how crazy it gets in season, and then sometimes you just have to take a step back and really appreciate where you are and what you're doing. Treat people right. I don't care if it's the security guard who is at the media entrance every single time you're walking in. I don't care if it's the head coach that you're covering. I don't care if it's the starting shortstop. You treat people right, and never let anybody question your work ethic. That's one thing nobody can take from you. So yeah, I think those are my two pieces of advice. And again, just thank you guys so much for being so interactive with us. It's been so cool to be here.
Thank you. Mark?
Yeah. Whenever I speak to students, if you've heard me speak before, you always hear me talk about a book that I want you to read. That book is Green Eggs and Ham. I think that book, when you think about it, you see it as about a guy who won't try something new. And in your career, and when you get out of college, you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone, and you're going to have to try something new that you've never thought you would be trying that again. You may have to go live in Minnesota. You may have to go. You may have to go somewhere. Be around people that you've never been around this group of people before, or whatever. But you have to be willing to get out of your comfort zone to be successful. And I think that is, in addition to having all the gifts and the talents and all that stuff, you've got to be willing to get out of your comfort zone, and that will take you more places than you would ever imagine.
I love that. Say yes to
Thank you.
everything. I would say be patient and outwork, as Kelsey said, but be patient in your journey. None of us had the same paths, and none of you will have the same path. Not one of them will look similar. I said this to a group earlier today that I think is just really important to repeat. I always tell myself this pretty much every day, like a little affirmation. Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
You will not be happy if you compare your journey to anyone else. People get to where they are at different rates. There'll be peaks in your career, there'll be valleys in your career, and it's the people that love what they do, that don't take it for granted, that treat people the right way. That stuff all comes back around, and you will last in this industry long if you put in the work. You're knowledgeable, you treat people the right way, and you don't let it, kill you mentally, right? Like, you don't want it to take over who you are and as a person and to ruin that. So I would say do not compare yourselves to others, because it's a really difficult thing to do, because I'm sure you're all here at this summit. We're all pretty high achievers. We put ourselves to a certain standard, and don't expect those things to come to you, because it's definitely going to be you work towards these gifts, these journeys that you get to go on. It'll serve you in the long run to just make sure you keep that mental state. Like, my journey is my own, and I'm very grateful for that.
Thank you, Tatum. And Rachel?
Work hard, of course. Be bold and dream big. It's okay if you feel like you have an unreachable goal right now. Everyone has that at some point in their life, but who knows? The sky's the limit, and don't let anyone tell you that you can't achieve those things. I said it a few times, but I feel like it's worth repeating. Same thing with you. Everyone defines success differently. When you're in college, maybe your motivation is money. The person who makes the most money is the most successful. The person who makes it to CVS is the most successful, whatever that looks like. When I was in your shoes, success was a sideline reporter on ESPN, and if I didn't do that, I was an absolute failure. Now that I am a few years removed from college, I've defined success very differently for myself. For me, it's work-life balance, and that's what's important. And once you decide what that looks like for yourself as an individual, it helps you set more realistic goals as you're progressing in your career. So maybe my idea of what success is may change in the next 5 years, and maybe it will for you, but I just feel like that helps to narrow that a little bit down to where you have more realistic goals as you're working towards them. I'm a first-generation college student. LSU is awesome. I'm going to cry if I keep talking, so I should probably stop. Just know that you guys are in great, great hands, and everyone up here, I hope I'm speaking for everyone properly, that we would love to help you. If you ever need any help, if you ever needed anything in Denver, if you want to work in hockey, let me know. I'm just so willing to help, because I would not be up here if it weren't for the incredible people I met through the Manship School, and just being from Louisiana, my internships, I'm thinking of Josh Grimm right away, Tad Odell, Tiger TV, all those people have helped me so much, and I'm so willing and eager to return that help, and I feel like everyone probably feels the same way. So go Tigers.
And we are honored to have y'all in the room. Let's applaud our great panelists and guests today.
Good job, guys.
Don't forget, we do have our keynote address coming up at 6 o'clock. If you can join us then with Dr. Andy Billings, it's going to be a lot of fun, so don't go anywhere just yet. And coming soon, a special announcement. We're thinking global, There's a big sporting event coming up next year. Project Olympics, the Olympics Project, summer 2024. Those purple and gold rings look pretty good with the Olympics, so keep that on your radar. Some big things coming with the Manship School. But thank you for attending our afternoon panel. Thank you for being a part of this beautiful day. Like y'all said, go Tigers and go Manship.
Go Tigers.
Nice to see you. Really, really good. You're great. Yeah, thanks.
My face on your shoulder.
That was
Really? I'll explain it to my wife. I will.
I was laughing. I doubled over.
I know. I was so pumped when I